Let's go through the next ones together. Example number 2. Factors of 7x will be double parenthesis 7x and x. Factors of 9, that's a negative 9. If it's a negative, to multiply in two numbers to end up to a negative, one of them should be a positive, the other one should be a negative. So let me go and place factors of 9 are 3 times 3 or 1 times 9. So let's start with 3 and 3. 3 and 3. That will give me negative 21x, and that will give me positive 3x. If I add them, different signs, subtract, keep the sign on the bigger number, negative 18. I need positive 18. So therefore, I need to be able to change my sign. The negative. So the negative will go on top, the positive will go on the bottom. So it gives me positive 21x, and that'll give me negative 3x. When I add them, that'll give me 18x. And does that match? Yes. Let's try letter B. Double parenthesis, I want to be able to factor it. Factors of x squared will be just x times x will give you x squared. What do we need to multiply together to give me a negative 4? Now the last term is negative, so let me know for one of them should be positive, the other one should be negative. Now if you want to make them the opposite, that's fine. If you want to place a negative on top and a positive on the bottom, it's not a problem. So factors of 4 are 2 times 2 and 4 times 1. So let me use my 2 and 2. And let me multiply it out together. That gives me negative 2 and positive 2. Will that give you negative 3? No. So we can't use, that won't work. And some of you guys should be able to see it. If you want to write it down to confirm. Now if we switch the 2 and 2, it won't make a difference. So let's go and try the 4 and the 1. Or the 1, let's try 1 and 4. It doesn't matter. Now I'll try the 1 and the 4. That's positive, that's negative. So it gives me negative 4x, and that gives me positive 1x. If I add them, I end up with different signs, subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. Does it match? Perfect. And sometimes you guys will see the more you do this, the more you will be able to do some of it in your head, so you actually don't have to try all the combinations. Let's try the letter C. Double parenthesis. Factors of 3x squared will be 3x and x. The last number is positive 4. So that means that both have to be positive or both negative. They need to add up to a negative number. So they both have to be negative in this case, right? Because when you multiply negative and negative, it's going to be a positive. But whenever you add that two negatives, we'll give you the negative 13. Now I need to end up with 13, and I know 4 times 3 is 12. So I'm going to factors 4, I'm going to use 1 times 4. I'll place my 4 in here because that will give me 12, very close to 13, and my 1 in here, and that will give me a, so there's negative 12x and negative 1x. If I add them, does it give me negative 13x? Perfect. So if you can think a little bit ahead of time, that's going to save you some work. But all of you guys should be able to get pretty good at this as you guys go through the lesson. Go ahead and pause it, try example number 3 and see what you get, and then we can compare answers. Go and pause it. So for problem number 3, I want to be able to do my double parentheses. Factors of 5x squared will be 5x and x. If you multiply together, it gives you 5x squared. The last term is a negative 7. Therefore, one of them has to be positive. The other one has to be negative. Negative times a positive will give you a negative. Now the factors of 7 are just 7 times 1. I need to end up with a positive 34x. So I'm going to place my 7 in here because 7 times 5 will give me 35, and I'll place my 1 in here. That gives me negative 35 plus 1. So negative 35x plus 1x. If I add them, they have different signs, so I'm going to subtract, keep the sign of the bigger number. I need to end up with positive 34, therefore I'm just going to change my sign. My negative goes on top, my positive on the bottom. I'm going to redo this. I'll place my negative to the top, my positive on the bottom. So it gives me positive 35 and negative 1x. If I add them, it gives me positive 34x. And make sure to highlight once you get the same number. Letter B. Double parenthesis. The factors of 3x squared will be 3x multiplied by x. The factors of 4, I have a positive 4. Both should be positive or both negative. It needs to end up with a negative number, therefore both of them are negative. Remember, if in case you end up with a positive 8, you can just change the signs. These factors will be 1 times 4 or 2 times 2. I'm going to use 2 and 2. Because that will give me negative 6x and negative 2. Correct? X times negative 2 is negative 2x. Three x times negative 2 is negative 6x. If I add them, same sign, you add, keep the sign of the bigger number. It matches now. It matches the middle term that we want. So remember, this is the same thing as the multiplying it out. 3x times x is 3x squared. Then we multiply the 3x times the negative 2. Negative 2 times negative x times negative 2. And that'll give us the middle term. And then we multiply negative times the negative is a positive 4x. So basically the same thing as multiplying, but it just makes it a little easier when we factor. And the last problem, letter C, double parenthesis. Factors of x squared will be x and x. The last number is a negative 10. That means that one of them will be negative. That will be positive. When I add them, the middle terms will end up with we need to end up with a negative 3x. The factors of 10 are 1 times 10 or 2 times 5. I'm going to use 2 and 5 because I need to end up with a 3. Now, you can think ahead of time. Where should I place my 2? I need to end up with a negative number, so I'm going to place my 5 in here and my 2. That gives me 2x minus 5x. And if I add them, it gives me negative 3x, and that matches. So this concludes the lesson for today. Please email me if you have any questions, and have a great day. Thank you.